Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I'm talking with Dr. Elisa Chiang. She is an ophthalmologist, an oculoplastic specialist, and a life coach who works primarily with physicians. I am so thrilled that she is here with me today, and I'm so excited to talk with her. Hi, Elisa.
Hi, I'm excited to be here too.
Thank you so much for joining me. So, as you know, our topic today is joy. So I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to ask you, how do you define joy? Do you feel like it's a thought, a feeling, an action, all three? Something else?
I think joy is primarily a feeling. And, as a life coach, I believe feelings come from our thoughts. So, I would just define joy as like kind of a pure form of, like happiness, essentially.
Okay. So since, like you said, you are a life coach, so your work is all about, I'm sure, helping people find their joy or find their happiness.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's something that's very familiar to you.
But also understanding that we don't actually want to be happy all the time. It's that contrast in life.
Yes.
So, if you don't have down times, you're not going to have up times, or, you're not going to appreciate the up times so much.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. Yep. That makes 100% sense. If we didn't have, like you said, the contrast, how would we even know? How would we even define joy if we didn't have not times when we're not in joy, right?
Yeah. Have you seen The Good Place?
No.
So it's interesting. So spoiler alert for people who haven't seen it, but there's a point where they're basically in heaven. And when they get to heaven, everything is good all the time. So people have kind of become just like numb to like having everything that they want.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fantastic series. I recommend it to anybody.
Okay. No, it sounds good. I have to, note that. So what brings you joy? When do you feel the most joy?
I was actually thinking as I was getting ready for this podcast, I was like, I'm a little hungry. I think I'm going to just have a little snack. And so I have some persimmons my mother brought for me from her tree. So I happily got to see my entire family for Thanksgiving. Awesome. And my parents live in California. We all went to Chicago, where my sister is. And so she brought persimmons from her tree in California. And so I got to take some home, and they are just delicious. And so just sitting and eating the persimmon before coming on to record this podcast, like that just brought me joy. So
sometimes it's just the simple things, right?
Yeah. But it's great that, to find joy in the simple things, right? Because then you can have joy all the time. Like we said, we don't want it all the time, but you can create joy on a day-by-day basis. It doesn't have to be only when you're on vacation or only when something, amazing happens or you achieve a great goal. Like there are simple things that can bring you joy. And that's, one of the amazing things about life.
Yes, exactly. And what a fun way to spend our life is when we spend our time looking for those moments.
And I think, being a little mindful and looking for those moments, or even creating those moments when you need it, can make a big difference in someone's life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's well said. Very good. So you gave us one. My next question to you is about a fun time with your family. You gave us one on Thanksgiving, eating persimmons. Is there anything else you can think of or like to share?
There's so many things I would say that give me joy. And it does, span that the gamut of, having just enjoying that persimmon. When I think of like the time I felt the purest joy is actually when I went skydiving. So I went skydiving for the first and only time in Australia. And I love the feeling of free fall. And, it was a beautiful day and you just see the whole country or, the landscape ahead of you. And it was just, I just felt pure joy coming down for however many seconds it was. It doesn't actually last that long, but that was some of your joy. I used to horseback ride actually a lot, and sometimes when the horse just gets into that beautiful canter and you kind of feel like you're flying, like that's a really pure sense of joy for me. I love food, so when I just have that bite into that really delicious whatever it is, like that persimmon.
I'm getting hungry. I want a persimmon now. great. I love it. Wow. So I want to go back to the skydiving for just a sec. Was that the first time that you skydived? That's so
Yeah,
amazing.
this is the first time, and it's the only time. And I mean, it's not like, I could go skydiving more, and I'm sure I will go again. But I think part of it is to keep it special, I guess. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe if I went skydiving all the time, it wouldn't necessarily be that purest joy. But I think also it's a little bit of the landscape and, the weather, and, skydiving is probably not the safest thing to do a whole lot of either.
Well, it certainly gives you a different perspective, right? That's great. Oh, I love that. Wow.
But when I'm on vacation, I do tend to do some more adventurous type activities, and in general, all those things do bring me joy. So in Hawaii, we went on. Oh gosh, I don't know what they're called actually. It's not really it's not like a helicopter. It's like these little prop planes, but they're not even a plane. Like, you're not inside. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know. So they're like the most basic plane. Like, you're not inside, you're still outside, you're like in the air. They don't go up that high, but they're not helicopters. They're actually like wings. I can't actually remember what they're called. Apparently they're not necessarily the safest things, but so it goes. And so they're much more low flying. And so we saw the Nepali coastline and that way, and that was gorgeous and beautiful. And
you're not talking about a hot air balloon or something?
No, not hot air balloon, though. Actually, I love hot air balloons as well. I do think so. I'm a serious photography hobbyist, I guess. I have actually like done people's weddings and portraits in the past, but since I've become a physician, I've stopped doing that as like a business. And but hot air balloons, I think, is like the perfect way to actually take photographs from the air, because you're moving slow enough that there's not like any motion blur, and it's totally open. There's no glass.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. So you're speaking of a different type of plane. It was a plane, actually.
Yeah, it's actually a plane, but like, you're not inside it. That's what I mean. Like, I see. That's what I mean. I'm not sure I could call it a plane. It has wings.
Oh, wow.
Well, to find a way. I mean, I have pictures of what it looks like.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, this is new to me. This is really interesting. I'm trying to get a picture in my head. But the whole point is just to be up there and just get a different perspective. You can see a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're not that high, so you get to see a lot of the lower things you might miss if you were flying really like at a plane level, a normal commercial plane level. Okay, got it. Okay, perfect. Cool. You're adventurous. I love it.
Yeah. And I think what makes it different from a helicopter ride is like, you are in the air. Like, there's no, like I said, you're not in an enclosed plane. That's why I'm like, it's not really a plane, because you're not inside.
Okay.
It's kind of, I guess, like prop planes, you're not inside. So it's kind of more like that.
Oh,
and so like you actually feel the air on you. So I guess I like things where you're in the air, like you can see like, the big landscape, and you're kind of like flying. So the skydiving is more fun because you're actually moving in, like you yourself are moving, and the horseback riding, you're not in the air, but like you have a sense of like, moving through the air.
Yes. Okay. Yes, you do get that tactile sensation.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Oh, I love the way you describe that. Oh, cool. All right. Well, how about a time in your life that brought you so much pleasure that you wish you could repeat it? I don't, like you said, maybe not the skydiving.
No, I was going to say probably the skydiving. I mean, like I said, I'm sure I will go again someday. Probably I will plan it on a vacation where we're, somewhere quote beautiful, and I just wanted that scenery. And not to say that Cleveland's not beautiful, but it's just not what I think of.
Okay. All right. Well, how about any other times that maybe you just loved it so much you're just ready to do it again?
I mean, it's funny because I was just thinking last night, we watched the movie oh gosh, it's kind of like The Story of the Dog or something. And it's a Western, so there were horses. And so it actually reminded me how I hadn't been horseback riding in a while, and actually several years now. I mean, since the whole COVID pandemic. And I really did enjoy riding quite a bit. And so I was kind of like, oh, I need to go riding again. I haven't been riding since the pandemic started.
Yeah, because I love horseback riding. I've done a lot of horseback riding myself, and I understand the draw, because I haven't been in a while either. And I do feel like, ooh, I want to do that again. It's just that connection though with the horses too. I mean, yes, it's that amazing feeling like you described with the wind and when they canter, getting in that rhythm, all of that. But it's just, they're such cool animals. I just love them.
They are. I think part of it too is like, you can't just like go to, one of those trail ride places, because chances are you're not going to be able to just get to go run. I used to, lease horses. And so then you could, I could do whatever. And I took, private lessons as well. And there we actually, worked on the skills. So I haven't done that in a little while. Well, basically I moved back to Cleveland and, got situated, and then the pandemic.
Yeah. I imagine in big cities, it's harder in big cities. There's not like you just go riding, right? You can't just have horses in the middle.
There's actually stables there are stables not too far away, but when I think about stables where you could actually lease horses or take lessons, it's probably about an hour or so. Yeah, maybe 45 minutes.
Oh, it's not too bad, actually.
Yeah, not terrible. But when you consider like going horse, like even a 45-minute lesson, like you have to go ahead of time, saddle the horse, clean the horse, and then afterwards, like water down the horse. So it's even 45-minute lessons, like 2 hours. So if you add 45-minute drive back and forth, now you're looking at 3.5 hours. So it does take out quite a chunk of time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay.
I mean, not that I couldn't schedule that in, but
right.
But with lessons that you do once a week, like that's a lot of commitment.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with your busy schedule as a physician, trying to add in one more thing probably can be challenging.
Well, the physician and the life coaching, and also a real estate investor. So yeah, working on all that.
That's a full schedule.
It has been. It definitely has been.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, how about a time when you were feeling down and then something happened that lifted you up again?
When you're hugs from my husband are always helpful when I'm feeling down.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. And it's funny because sometimes like he'll kind of like, I'll be talking and, he'll be trying to like give me some solution. And finally I'll be like, I just need a hug.
That's great. Yeah, I totally understand that one. We cut out, my mom's the same way. We saw a cartoon in the newspaper that we cut out and saved, and it was I think it was Garfield maybe, or something like that, but it kind of said the same thing, like, I just need a hug. It's just like that was perfect. It just encapsulated it. It's like, yes, sometimes you feel that way. Solutions are great, but sometimes you just need a hug. Yeah, I love that. Oh, wow. Well, how about a time when you erupted into spontaneous laughter? Like it just came up and out of you. You couldn't control it.
Well, if you're saying really, truly spontaneous laughter, like nothing initiated, I'm not actually sure. I mean, so I was thinking like, my husband will sometimes show me some like YouTube video that will elicit, as essentially spontaneous laughter, but I guess it's not so spontaneous because it's from watching whatever it is on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure that I've ever just like started laughing out of nothing. It's always going to come from like some kind of thought or some kind of imagery or something that's going to elicit it.
You sound like you have a really sweet husband. He gets you to laugh. He gives you hugs. This is awesome. I like it.
Yeah, no, I do have the best of husbands.
That's great to have that in your life. Wonderful. So, okay. So what about some things, that will, if it's not spontaneous from nothing, but something that maybe you see or that will start it off or just put you in that state of laughter where it just comes up and out of you, erupts out of you?
So it's usually some kind of animal video.
Okay.
right? Some animal like doing something just like really funny, or like the way it's filmed. So, some people like will get their cats to like do something like, and those are usually, it's those kind of videos.
Yeah, those are great. We're so blessed to have animals. They're so awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they enrich our lives. Wow. So, okay, what puts you in the flow state? That when you feel easy and productive.
I think it's really just like, so, I have my workspace, my desk, and I'll have like, so I'm really big on calendaring. And so I will, and I will calendar like my tasks. Sometimes I'll do to-do lists as well. If I'm not, I've got a lot of little tasks and I'm not going to be like, okay, this is going to take me 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So I'm not going to calendar each one of them. But just, sitting at my desk and being like, okay, like this is the time to get through it. And so I also have like scheduled breaks. I have scheduled, times where I might have like appointments or like going to the gym. And so being able to, so there are, times of the day I know where I'm going to work a lot better. And so I schedule like, the tasks to do during that time where I know it's good for me to focus and actually do those tasks. And then I schedule breaks where I'm like going to work out or, having a meal in order to like have the rest time in between those breaks. And I think working in that way, like helps you get into the flow of being just productive. And unfortunately, working in clinic, you can't like really schedule it that way, right? Like you're just expected from like, 8 in you to see patients and then 1 to 5 to see patients.
Right. But when it's in your control, it sounds like you find your own rhythm and what works well for you and then kind of structure your day that way. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could do that in medicine?
Yeah, but we probably wouldn't see enough patients because we don't have enough focus time.
Right. True.
One thing I never really understood is why does OR always start an hour earlier?
That's true. Good question. And it's probably universal no matter what hospital you're at, right?
Yeah, I mean, no matter where I've been, like, OR essentially starts at 7 and clinic starts at 8 or 8:30. My clinic now starts at 8:30, which is great because I have a much longer commute. So basically I got to leave my home at the same time as my previous job where I had a shorter commute, but clinic started at 8.
Right. Good question. Maybe it's because they want to be done by a certain time in the day, get started early in the morning. So how has feeling good helped you be more successful?
I think when you work from a place of when you're feeling good, like creative juices flow a lot more, right? So a lot of my working now, especially my business as a life coach, is essentially, marketing, like making content, getting out there so people, kind of know like what my values are and where I stand and what I can provide. And so that's a lot of, like I have YouTube videos, writing Facebook posts or writing emails. And if you're not doing that from a positive place, then people don't want a whole bunch of negativity, right?
Right.
Especially from a life coach.
Right. True.
Yeah. So kind of to get back on like what do you do when you're down is some of that is actually doing self-coaching. So doing a thought download. What are the thoughts that are creating me down, keeping me down, and why is that? And are those really true? And being curious with it. And what can I change? And failure is inevitable whenever you're working on something that you haven't done before. And but it's all learning, right? So you either get the result you wanted or the lesson you needed.
Right. Yeah. I love that. I'm so glad you mentioned the self-coaching because that's so huge, right? Our thoughts and what we spend the most time with ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So what we tell ourselves really matters.
But I make sure to actually get actual coaching as well, at least weekly, usually twice a week. Actually, I have multiple coaches. Because like sometimes like when you're self-coaching, like something that you think is really like a circumstance is actually still a thought.
Yeah, so it kind of helps to have that outside perspective to say, maybe not, or did you think of it this way, or check in. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. And sometimes you're just kind of in too deep to like really pull out,
Mm-hmm.
what you need to pull out, and having someone, a third party just look and be curious and ask you the questions that you didn't even think to ask yourself can make a huge difference too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also it's probably sometimes just saying it out loud, getting it out of your own head, right? Just
Yeah.
speaking it or putting it out into the ethers can help you look at it maybe in a different way. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. So do you have any daily practices or routines or habits that help you to connect to your joy?
So I do something called PQ reps. I'm a certified coach through the Life Coach School, but I also did the Positive Intelligence program. And there's actually a Positive Intelligence app. It's a phone app, and it actually like even does like a focus of the day and the reminders of the day in order to help like kind of develop like what we call your sage, the wisdom in you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that really actually kind of is a daily practice that I do. So I do the focus every morning, and then there are 3 sessions that kind of remind you to do like PQ reps and like reflect on the focus of the day. I don't necessarily get to all 3 during the time frame. So they kind of have you do like one from 9 to noon, one from noon to 3, and one from 3 to 6. And so just depending on, especially on days where I'm seeing patients, that 9 to noon one is actually probably the hardest one to hit. I can usually get one over lunchtime and then one at the end of the day. But they're all just reflective things. I also do a lot of journaling. I make sure to do like journaling at least once a week, but I really kind of a little bit more often than that. I guess I should say I do serious journaling once a week, and then I do like thought downloads a little bit more often into that. So it's a little different. When I'm journaling, I'm really reflecting on like, life and how things are going. And when I'm thought downloading, I'm just putting down what my current thoughts are.
So do you find that by doing it, because you mentioned you attempt or try as much as you can to do it throughout the day, do you find that like that helps the course of your day, or helps keep you focused, or helps your day be more smooth? Or say on days when you're just so busy and you can't get to it at all, it's like, whoa, do you really notice a difference?
I think so. I noticed the difference of doing it on days like clinic days, where maybe things are a little bit more stressful. So if I'm on vacation, I don't feel the need to do it. I mean, because kind of everything's kind of good, but days where I'm working or doing something more stressful. So maybe not even clinic days, but depending on what I've got scheduled on my off days when I'm working on, because the real estate can actually bring a lot of anxiety as well. So that helps. And so the PQ reps are really about kind of clearing your mind and being back into your body. So
it sounds like it help you focus.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like kind of meditation light. So I've never been a good meditator. But so the PQ reps kind of have you focus more on like a sensation, or like you can focus on touch, or you can focus on something you're hearing, or you can focus on your breath, which I guess is like meditation. But so like one thing you could do is just like even wiggle your toes and just like focus on like your toes, or like focus on your seat. So it's also easier to do if you're like, I could do it even when I'm with a patient. So if I'm with a patient, I'm feeling frustrated, I actually will start doing some PQ reps.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's really good. So it really brings you, it's like, sounds like mindfulness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's really good. And I like how you said you can do it no matter what. So even if you're with someone, you can still do it, because it's an internal thing. So
right.
That's great. I love that. So do you have any tips perhaps that you can share that would help others to find their joy?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, being a life coach, I guess I drink the juice, or whatever you call it. But really, it's funny because I read a lot of those or I tried to read kind of like those self-help books before I found coaching in the Life Coach School. And I really couldn't even get through like any of them. I never read them from the end. But when I learned of like Rick Castillo's The Model, your thoughts produce your feelings. And I really kind of sat with that. And I'm like, yeah, that actually is true. And the fact that you can actually change your thoughts. Now, it's not necessarily easy to change your thoughts, but you can become the watcher of your thoughts. And then that really opened up like a whole new realization to me. And so that really changed my life. And I think it can change like anyone's life if they're willing to open it up and embrace to it. So like what I recommend is, actually just starting with the Life Coach School podcast and starting with episode 1. Don't like try listening to the more recent episodes because they're going to make zero sense. And honestly, they're not as helpful in terms of learning like the mindfulness and the coaching, really starting from episode, like going all the way to the very beginning, listening to episode 1 and going from there.
Okay.
There's also Bev Aaron wrote the book, The Art of Believing on Purpose. And so if you're more of a book person than a podcast person, I think that's, kind of a good introduction into kind of thought work. But I think, I really do think thought work is a great way to find joy because, again, mindfulness, being present, all that stuff, that really is all just in a way thought work, right?
Right. Yes, our thoughts certainly do contribute. Yeah, good stuff. Oh, those are great suggestions. Thank you. So where can people find you or find out more about you, and perhaps even if they want to work with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so my website is growyourwealthymindset.com. And from there, there are links to everything else. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I've got a YouTube channel. So yep, all the things. But yeah, if you go to growyourwealthymindset.com and you can click to find any of those links to everything else.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed having this conversation with you, and thanks for all the great tips that you shared.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been fun.
Absolutely. Okay, bye.
Bye.